Yes, well, we're all getting used to new apps. So, Jane Golden, thank you so much for being on the show. My name is Melissa Jacobs. This is Mainline Tonight. Tonight, my guest is Jane Golden, the founder and executive director of Mural Arts Philadelphia, the largest public art program in the United States, with more than 4,000 works throughout the Philadelphia region. It's an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for making the time to speak with us tonight.
Of course.
I want to first start talking about the pandemic pivot that Mural Arts has done to address the stay-at-home orders, but still bring art to us in our homes. As we all know, murals are on the walls and buildings of Philadelphia, but now, thanks to you and your staff, we can experience some of them at home. You launched a program called Art in Action, a multi-pronged program to address the need for art in our lives. One of the first things that I thought sounded so great is homeschool with Mural Arts. It's Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. There are videos, right? So tell us a little bit about that program.
Yeah, well, I think what people know about us is they know the thousands of murals that grace the sides of buildings throughout our city. But what they don't know is that we have a huge programmatic division. We work with young people and young adults. And in our art education program, we serve over 2,000 kids. So when this happened, we're like, oh my gosh, we cannot stop. So we started to go online in every division. And in art education, we have these great videos. We have fabulous teaching artists, and that is just expanding. In addition to the programs online, we also have downloadable coloring books that help kids deal with trauma and posters. We're also delivering art supplies to young people now. And we are going to have a great summer program where part of it will be virtual and part of it is we will be doing home deliveries of art supplies and sections of murals on cloth to kids all over the city. And then we'll be sort of weaving everything together and have public art on walls throughout Philly. So we did not miss a beat. Art for
You really did not. And people can find all about that at muralarts.org. Your website has a tremendous number of resources. People can go and sign up for things and access those. So tell me about the space pads that you're doing.
Well, thank you for asking that. Well, when the pandemic hit, we were thinking, how can art be useful? How can we be of use? So all our programs went, virtual. We thought, okay, check, that's good. But what else? And then I went to a market and I realized that for social distancing, they just had this black tape on the floor. And we said to ourselves, wait a minute, we can do better than that. What if we were able to commission artists throughout the city to design these vinyls, decals with public health messages that would be inspiring? So we would be employing artists, bringing people beauty, and merging public health and public art. And we did it at the ShopRite in South Philly, and it just caught on. Then we started working with the Broad Street Ministry and Prevention Point and the Step Up to the Plate initiative. And then the Department of Public Health called us and said, we want them all over the city, translated into 8 languages. And we're like, awesome. We cannot wait to do that. And we're flying into action right now. And it's not just the decals. It's also posters. It's wheat paste, scrims, you name it. We're doing it.
Yeah, really you posted, exciting. There were a lot of them on your Instagram today about 6 feet away, but not, a lot of different messaging with tremendous colors.
Exactly.
It makes the message a message that is restrictive. It makes it beautiful.
Right.
And the space pads, to be clear, I mean, they're like things
small,
you stand. It shows you where to stand, what 6 feet apart is if you're standing in line outside of a store, but they're beautifully done. Yeah, it's amazing. There are some masks being made also by people who are connected with your organization, right?
That's really exciting. We have storefront community art centers, and one is in South Philadelphia. It's called Southeast by Southeast. And we work with people from Southeast Asia, and we teach painting, drawing, photography. We have ESL classes, citizenship, you name it. We're offering it. It's so robust and inspiring. And we have a textile initiative. And for 5 years, the women there have been making the most extraordinary weavings and scarves and handbags, just beautiful. And when this happened, they said, nope, we're going to put our energy into making masks. And for every one they sell, they donate one. They just did a huge order for CHOP. And it's really wonderful to see how people have been able to pivot and think about the greater good. I think that's what this challenge has been about for all of us. It's like, how do we stay safe, and how do we think about other people as we're thinking about ourselves. It's like, I think it's just been a really inspiring time. And for programs like ourselves that really embrace the artistic spirit, it's been a wonderful sort of an opening up of opportunity.
Well, I think it's an interesting point. I think when you're a creative person, when there's a need, when there's an urgent need, you are still a creative person. You just find a new way to channel it. So it's creative business thinking, it's creative art thinking. It all goes together. I want to ask you about the Hope and Healing fundraising. Today is Giving Tuesday,
Yes.
And Mural Arts always needs funds, especially now. So tell us a little bit about Hope and Healing.
Well, that is our campaign that will take us through the fall, and people can expect to get videos. There'll be a campaign on social media. We'll hear from the voices of people that we touch and impact. And I hope that we can make our work become very real for people, because honestly, we serve about 25,000 constituents. That's how many people we touch every year in criminal justice, behavioral health, art education, community development, and in mural making. You know, we're a program that is very aspirational but highly practical. So we want to move the needle on critical social issues that our city faces, and we want to do that every single day. I feel like even though we're not all city employees, only a few of us are, we all feel like public servants working on behalf of Philadelphia. And now more than ever, we feel energized. So if your listeners out there want to donate to a program that believes in the human spirit and the power of art, Mural Arts.
Yes, Mural Arts. You can go to Mural. Yeah, you can go to muralarts.org. So let me tell everybody again, you are Jane Golden, the founder and executive director of Mural Arts Philadelphia, the largest public art program in the United States. We are lucky to have you in Philadelphia. My name is Melissa Jacobs. This is Mainline Tonight. I'm honored to have you on our program. I want to talk about how you started Mural Arts Philadelphia. It started in 1984 as an anti-graffiti effort started by Mayor Good's administration.
Yes.
The city at the time, the city of Philadelphia, was not in a good place. There was a lot of homelessness and crime. It was long before the Avenue of the Arts and the sort of revitalization of Center City. So when the program started, why was it important to bring art into the city?
That's a great question. Well, I give a lot of credit to our former mayor, Wilson Good, and the executive director, Tim Spencer. And my history is I had gone to Stanford. I'm from Margate, New Jersey, went out to California to college, to Stanford, moved to LA, started doing murals. I got very sick. I have lupus. And I came back here to be with my family. And I ended up getting hired by the Good administration to run a teeny little art program for the Anti-Graffiti Network. What I recognized almost immediately was that the young people had extraordinary talent, and that art could be a lifeline for them. They had talent, but what they did not have were opportunities. And so we started off with painting and drawing and mural making. Then we started doing murals, and it caught everyone's attention. And eventually, Wilson Good saw that it was a great deterrent against graffiti, but more importantly, it gave young people a chance to really articulate their voice and see themselves in terms of their potential. And eventually that led to the Mural Arts program, which started in 1998. And I'm very thankful to Ed Rendell, because I went to him. I was going to go to law school, and my brother talked me out of law school and said, start an art program for the city. And I was like, what? There isn't one. He goes, go ahead and talk to Ed Rendell. And I did, and he agreed. And here we are, all these years later.
Wait, I think I know your brother. Is your brother Jonathan?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I knew him. I used to work in Jersey from the China Outlet and Gourmet Garage.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. I knew him in like the 90s.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's very inspiring.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so Jane Golden, founder and executive director of Mural Arts Philadelphia. Tell us about the making of a mural. What goes into it? How do you choose the artist, the theme, the location? What is the process?
Well, murals happen 5 ways. One is that you can come in on our waiting list. The second is it could be a project connected with one of our divisions at Mural Arts. The third is that a funder or city government might have an idea. The fourth is an artist will have an idea. The last is that there's a big issue facing Philadelphia and we feel we have to respond. But on the waiting list, a community anywhere across the city, people can have an idea for a work of public art. They apply to us. We work with them to identify an artist, identify what the theme should be, and then we do a series of designs, and then we start to create this project. So we take into account the vision and spirit of the community. We have paint days so families, individuals can get involved and actually make their mark on the wall. And we work with tons of artists. We literally have employed 15,000 artists since 1988.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. And so the project becomes a real beacon in the community, and people look forward to it and they're involved. And I think there's a great sense of ownership about the work in Philly. We have over 4,200 works of public art. It's really incredible. And the work looks like and represents the citizens who live here.
It really does. It's amazing when you see a mural match the neighborhood. But is there ever a problem getting the mural where you want it to be, on the building that you want it to be? Or does it work the other way around and the person who owns the building asks you to do a mural there?
Well, we have a big waiting list of people who want work. So we have a lot of sites, but sometimes we're looking for a particular site. And then let's say, here's a good example. We did a mural with Amy Sherrill, who did Michelle Obama's portrait. And when she was looking around, she only liked one wall in the whole city, and that was Target at 11th and Sansom. And I'm like, oh, I don't know anybody at Target. And then she said, do you want Michelle Obama to tweet about it? And I was like, well, that would help. But then I realized, oh, wait a minute, Target is a tenant. I know the developer. We called him, and he said yes. I said to him, you can't say no.
That was one of the, that's a now iconic work. So it's at 1108 Sansom Street.
Right, exactly.
And it was done in 2019. That's one of the most recent ones, correct?
Yes.
Why did she like that?
Because it was a vertical. And her paintings are mostly a singular or several figures, but vertical. And that was really what she was looking for. And also, it was so prominent and it faced traffic. And as a wall hunter, I'm a good wall hunter. I thought I agreed with her that was a great wall.
Wow. Okay. So did Michelle Obama tweet about it at all?
No, she didn't have to do this. But that would have been great. That would have been certainly exciting.
That would have been great. Okay, let's talk about some of the other iconic murals.
Sure. Let's
Let's go back to the beginning, actually. The one that is one of my favorites, from 1990 by Kent Twitchell. I hope I'm saying his name right.
Yes.
It's at 1234 Ridge Avenue. Who is that of?
Well, that's Dr. J. And that was a wonderful one. That was our first figurative mural that we did with the Anti-Graffiti Network. And Kent at the time he's a very well-known muralist, and he was getting like $50,000 a mural back then, which was a lot. And we had $2,000 from the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts. And so I called him. I knew him from my time in Los Angeles. And I said, would you come to Philly for $2,000? He said, only if I could do Dr. J in a suit. So I said, I will find Dr. J, and I will ask him.
Wow.
We found him. He was shooting a TV commercial, and his agent gave me 2 minutes to convince him.
Wow. Now, why did he want Dr. J? What was his connection?
Said, really good question. He wanted kids to think beyond basketball, beyond sports. He felt like Dr. J was a role model of someone who just kept reinventing his life in so many different ways, and he was an ultimate entrepreneur, and thought young people should really think about the breadth of his life and how inspiring it is.
Is that why he's in a suit and not like a uniform?
That's exactly right. And Kent painted him like he does a lot of his figures, that they go up like almost like a skyscraper. So when we were drawing out the mural, it was just like it was almost like you were looking up at a super tall building. And Dr. J could not have been nicer, because he had a pose for us. And we brought all these kids everywhere we went back then. We still do to this day. And when they were all talking, and when he walked in the room, we were like silent. It was like, he's so tall. We know he's tall, but he's tall. And he's so nice. He was so just humble and nice and friendly.
So what, does he get to approve like the sketches before it started?
Yes, we did show him the design, and he was like, this is beautiful. But what was so fun was the minute we started painting it, literally traffic was coming to a halt, and people were getting out of their car and going, it's the dock. And when we started doing murals back then, people would always say to us, oh, that's a waste of money. The murals are going to get graffitied. And no one touched it. Like, it's 1990, no one has ever touched it. And out of 4,000 murals, very few have gotten defaced. I feel so vindicated.
Yeah, that's Philadelphia, like, legend. That it's iconic, that piece. Okay, so let me reintroduce myself to people who are watching from your feed. My name is Melissa Jacobs. This is Mainline Tonight. We're talking with Jane Golden, the founder and executive director of Mural Arts Philadelphia. Let me ask about another one that is close to where I used to live in Center City. It's at Broad and Spring Garden. It was done in 1998 by Meg Saligman, and it's called Common Threads. And it's been in movies, it's been everywhere. It's one of the most famous murals.
That's right.
It's a complicated, there's a lot going on in it though. So walk me through how that got done. Yeah, tell me about that.
Sure. I mean, first of all, I want to say that Meg Saligman is a brilliant artist, and I am lucky to call her a friend and a colleague. We had just become Mural Arts, and she came to us. She had worked very briefly for the Anti-Graffiti Network, and we had fallen out of touch. When we became Mural Arts, she came to see me, and she had a sketch. She said, "Look, there's a beautiful wall at Broad and Spring Garden. This is what I want to do." And she said, "I want to do something that pays tribute to the beauty of young people." She saw them as being really like elegant. She said they reminded her of figurines that her grandmom had given her. And I just looked at it. I looked at this design. I was like, that's breathtaking. So she had gotten permission to do this wall, and we went about. She had some funding. We raised some funding. We ran out of funding every 10 feet. We kept running out of funding, but we did it. And it was like, it is without a doubt one of the most iconic murals anywhere in the world.
It definitely is. How long does something like that take to get from paper to wall?
I think that was about a year process. I mean, Meg is a very efficient, quick painter. Once we finished getting all the approvals, raising some money, she had to, get the team in place. Well, there wasn't much of a team. It was a little team. We had ordered all the supplies. We had never worked that large. That was like, we were just learning as we were going. And so it was probably a year, but her painting was probably 4 to 6 months on the wall. And then we had a huge dedication. And, we restored it a few years ago. And we invited all the kids that are in the mural came back to the dedication.
Yeah.
So it was really, it was a lovely, it's a celebration of our city and a tribute to young people. And it gives kids the dignity and respect they deserve.
Absolutely. So we're getting some questions from people. My friend Jessica Cartahelio from CBS 3 Eyewitness News wants to ask you about the apparent recent spate of graffiti. I guess kids were out of school or they're home from school. And she says there's a lot of graffiti happening now in the city, and what can be done about it?
Well, a couple things. I think graffiti goes in cycles. And I think during this pandemic, when people are quarantined, I think kids are getting out. And I think that with graffiti, if it sits for a while, then they think that's okay and they can keep doing it. The city has a wonderful program called CLIP, run by Tom Conway, and they are really responsive. But because of this crisis, they have been called on to feed people at different food distribution sites around the city. I think that people are multitasking as best they can. But I think as the city starts to come back to life a little bit, and the city employees, as soon as life can, I want to say, go back to normal, but we know it's going to be a long time. But my assessment is that within a month or two, you're going to see crews out there cleaning graffiti. And I know our team, we have an operations team as well, and they are going to be out there as well, getting rid of graffiti.
Okay. And then someone else, Megan McCary, it looks like, wants to ask you about Philadelphia Muses.
Oh, that's a beautiful mural, again, by Meg Saligman. And we had a grant from the Independence Foundation to do a large-scale work of art that was a tribute to the arts in the city. And thankfully, Joe and Renee Zaritsky, Joe Zaritsky of the Parkway Corporation, gave us permission for that fabulous wall. And Meg actually met with people, interviewed people, photographed them, and did that brilliant piece. And I just think it's really such a tribute to the wonderful arts in the city of Philadelphia that we love so much.
And where is that one?
Oh, 13th and Locust. And what's really nice is the lights of the parking lot are turned a certain direction, so it's illuminated at night.
Wow.
It's really just beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Melissa Jacobs. This is Mainline Tonight. I'm with Jane Golden, the founder and executive director of Mural Arts Philadelphia. You can find all of these programs that Mural Arts has put online at muralarts.org. They've made a huge pandemic pivot. There's a multi-pronged program called Art in Action. So you can go there and find a whole lot of resources. Jane, I want to put you on the spot just a little bit and ask you what are some of the most memorable, I wouldn't say your favorite murals because it's probably like picking among your children, but some of the most memorable experiences in creating the murals. Were any of them really challenging to get going? Did any of them have a special story connected to something that was happening at the time? What are the most memorable murals for you?
Well, I think many of them are memorable, but I want to talk about one that was particularly memorable. It's interesting because the young man who's part of it works for Mural Arts today, but we run programs in prisons. And he was a young man who he was in one of our prison classes, young, 16, he committed a very bad crime. And he provided the gun in a shooting. But he was one of our star students, and he had a shorter sentence. And when he got out, we ended up employing him. And he came to me and he said he wanted to meet the victim of the crime, who was a paraplegic. And I ended up taking Michael to the Northeast to meet Kevin and Kevin's mom. And Kevin and Michael ended up bonding and becoming friends and went around to high schools for 3 years talking about the impact of gun violence. And then Kevin passed away. And Michael and the kids that worked with Michael came, I remember vividly, they came to my office and they said they wanted to do a mural about forgiveness, and it would be a tribute to Kevin and his mother, Janice, who they were models of people who could forgive and move on. And so there's this beautiful forgiveness mural at 13th and Erie. But what was so nice, when we were wall hunting for where to put it, we knocked on this door at 13th and Erie, and this woman answers the door, and we said, "Oh, hi, we're from the Mural Arts program." We didn't even finish our sentence, and she said, "What took you so long? I've applied for a mural for years." And she said, "This is a women's shelter." And she loved the idea. And then people were so excited that every Thursday evening in the summer we would have paint days. And Eric Oakday was the lead artist, but it was painted at schools throughout the city of Philadelphia and at St. Gabriel's Hall and at Graterford Prison. And everyone we worked with felt like we all have anger we hold on to and we should let it go. And they are role models.
Absolutely. So someone else is asking about murals that have been covered up or demolished, and if there's any friends of them. So how many have been demolished or covered up?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I mean, we'd probably lose 5 or 6 murals a year to development. Sometimes it's 3, maybe 6. But the last few years, as you can imagine, have been hard. The good news is Mural Arts is a civic institution. We are here, we're committed, and we will go to the developer and we say, please, you're taking away a civic asset. What can you do to help create a new one? And sometimes we are able to pull a rabbit out of a hat and create something new. I think that it's really important that people know that we are known internationally as the city of murals. People come here from all over. We employ a huge amount of people in the creation of this work, and we should be incredibly proud because it's really not going on anywhere like here. It really is very, very unique.
Are those the murals that are destroyed, though? Are they archived somewhere?
They're archived, and we have great photographs, and we do when people request posters. We can get posters. We have great note cards. We have postcards. We have all kinds of merchandise, but we also have 3 mural books. So we're about to embark on a 4th book with Temple Press. So we're very happy about that. That's really important. Archiving this work is absolutely critical. So that was a great question. So yes, if people want prints, they can get it. And people should know when a mural goes away, we're vigilant. We want to try to recreate it somewhere else. But we also don't want to stand in the way of economic development. So we understand that we want our city to thrive.
Yep. So let's go back. Let's end by talking what we talked about in the beginning. And that is, for people who are joining us late, that you are Jane Golden, the founder and executive director of Mural Arts Philadelphia. There are a ton of resources at muralarts.org. Let's just review again the Art in Action multi-pronged program that you and your staff put together to bring art to us during this really important time in our lives. So one of them is Homeschool with Mural Arts. That's a series of videos. They're, I guess, launched Mondays and Wednesdays at 1 o'clock.
That's correct.
Yep. There's mask making. There's murals on the fly, which I didn't ask you about before, which is an aerial tour of the murals, right?
That's right. And we also have virtual mural tours, and people can request that. And we have a lot of corporations now requesting it for people because people are home, and it's just a really wonderful way to get to know the city.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about the tours in a second. I want you to review, if you would, the space pads.
The space pads, yeah, that's our initiative.
So are those available if people like own stores? Can they just call you up?
They should reach out to us. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, good. Tell us what those are again.
They are the way we're doing social distancing is commissioning works of public art on decals and vinyls that are spaced 6 feet apart in markets, bodegas, MSB Plaza, anywhere people are gathering, public or private, we've got them. And in addition to that, we're doing signage and wayfinding signs and any way that people need to be inspired to stay safe. Mural Arts can do that. With really
so it's all available.
Trustworthy public health messages.
Yes. So there's a lot more available at that about that at muralarts.org. I want to end by talking about the tours. And the schedule, I saw on the website that there are some scheduled for the end of May and June, but there are different kinds of tours that people can do. There are walking tours, there are virtual tours, there are car tours. So you can be either with your quarantine crew or socially distanced responsibly and do a walking tour of the Philadelphia murals. So tell us about some of the themes and some of what's available about that.
Yeah. Well, there's a masterpieces tour where you get to see some of the iconic works of art. There are great mural mile tours, and I want to say we're partnering with the Center City District on they're doing beautiful murals on some of the boarded up buildings, so we're very grateful to them. So that just adds to what you're going to see if you're doing a tour in Center City. And then there's the Love Letter tour. So there's these beautiful murals created by Steve Powers, who was a graffiti writer, now he's a really famous artist, and it's 60 second-story walls all about love. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a great way to...
Well, these are self-guided. These are self-guided, right? They can get the resources from muralarts.org. There's an African-American themed one. There are different themed
women's
tours. There's a bike tour. There's a walking tour. So do you have plans? You probably don't, but I'm going to ask. Do you have plans to resume any of the guided tours that Mural Arts does? Like
we want to have guided walking tours over the summer. We absolutely do. Because the walking tours are really fun. People can stay apart and be together at the same time. So they're together as a group, but they're apart. They can be safe and they can be inspired.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to thank you for being on my show. I also want to say I see some of these comments coming in. And my show is Mainline Tonight. I just started at the end of March, and I am the senior editor at Mainline Today magazine. But this show I started just to bring some light into dark times. We have had artists from around the country on the show, artists and musicians. I know that you need support. I know that you're trying to, yes, there's one of them, Justin Tyner. He is a stained glass artist. He was my guest last week. One of my favorite shows that I've done. And so if you are an artist who needs an audience, who needs support, if you message me, we'll do our best to get you on this show so you can talk about your art, maybe sell some of it, make some money. So I'm here to support you too. Jane Golden, it's been an honor to have you on my show. Thank you so very much for joining me on Mainline tonight. I wish you well. I wish you health and happiness. Thank you. It's been an honor.
Oh, thank you. Well, the respect is mutual, and I really appreciate what you're doing for artists. They make our world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, me too. Come on a mural tour.
I will. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, everybody, that's our